Very good morning, everyone. Welcome back to today's lecture on international business environment. And we have started with and we are seeing with the concept of yesterday's lecture with the concept of global value chain and outsourcing perspectives. Now, today we'll be dealing with a more understanding and a detailed investigation or a study with respect to what is the global value chain and how the development has taken place with respect to concepts and methodologies in the global value chain. The new global value in this stage will be understanding, or the agenda for this lecture is understanding the new global economy, the origin of global value chain framework, clarifying the GVC concept with respect to the value chain mapping, value chain governance, the value chain upgrading, and the small countries and the high technology with respect to the global value chain. So first, let's look at the consideration about from where do global value chain comes from. So how does the global value chain has developed and what is the origination of GVC in the certain perspectives? The old World War trade, that is in the year pre-1980s era, that is from the World War One and World War Two, we have seen that the transportation or the export and imports of goods and services has increased at a very larger scale, and there has been a proper introduction of the transfer of goods and services from one country to another country. So due to this concern, the countries started to exchange their goods and services, wherein goods which has been manufactured at one location was sold out at different locations, and the countries started to share their resources and sell the goods and services. The building or development of the national industries of the heavy medical vehicles, chemicals, automobile, pharmaceuticals, and so on has given a certain rise or a certain trend, wherein the industry started to grow, develop day by day, and accordingly, the national industries also started to build up. The new world trade of economy, that is the countries from the trade, the intermediate goods of the imports and exports started to increase, and accordingly, in the today's era and in the today's scenario, what we can see, the goods and services are being shared between different countries, different nations, and the global value chain network has started to develop, or it has started to grow. The various trends that we can see as on in global value chain are the first GVC, that is global value chain, has developed or growth. The growth rate is at the rate 80% of the world trade is conducted through the global value chain, and accordingly, the transaction activities are being conducted with respect to the imports and exports. And this particular report has been provided by UNCTAD, that is a World Annual Report of 2013. Furthermore, the rise of intermediate goods and trades of the imports and exports is of 20% in it was 20% in the year 1990, in it was 40% in the year 2010, and it has increased to it is supposed to be increased by 60% in the year 2030. So in this way, the World Trade Organization has given a certain perspectives and opinions about how the development of global value chain can be undertaken, and what is the importance at the global scale and at the national scale, and the from the year 2010 to 2030 onwards. The consolidation, now with respect to the consolidation perspectives, we can see and understand that all the components, all the goods, services, transactions are being compiled at this certain stage, and all the activities are being connected with each other. So in this way, whenever a particular activity gets connected with each other, it is being shared, it is being used at each and every location, and all the countries at the larger scale are getting benefited out of it. So in this way, global value chain is getting a benefit at a very larger scale, and it has been accepted by all the countries, all the nations of the globe. Now, let's look at from where does the idea of value chain comes from. So, from the development theories, from the strategic theories, the chain theories, and the post-Washington consensus, the development of global value chain can be seen. The development theories, it dates back from the era or the scenario of 1950 to 1960s, wherein the concept of modernization, the concept of dependency, and the concept of world system was into existence, which was given by Walter Rosselt, E.H. Fardiso, and P. Walter Stein. The combination of modernization and dependency theory has gave rise to ISI, that is import substituting and industrialization, which was the phase or scenario of development strategies. This particular stage or scenario was from the year of 1970s to 1980s, and the concept of world system was further expanded with respect to the EOI, that is export oriented industrialization. Furthermore, there was a situation or a scenario or a development in the external development strategies which has given right to the chain theories, that is GCC, GVC, and GPN. The GCC, the scenario of 1990 to 2000 era, in the year 1994, the global commodity chain was into existence. Then furthermore, in the year 2001, the global value chain, that is GVC, was into existence. And After 2002 era, we have GPN, that is Global Production Network, wherein the production activity, the supply activity, the distribution activity has been conducted at different globes or different between different countries of the globe or the nations. The today's era, that is mid 2000 to the present era, is the post-Washington consensus, wherein we have the scenario of World Bank and IMF into existence. And in the year 2008-2009, after this inclination of the global economic crisis or the world economic crisis, the various developments or the trends has been come forward. Now, those particular trends are with respect to the BRICS, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, that is BRIC countries, the emerging economies of the 1990, that is Great Depression impact, the TENS economy, the big countries, and the smaller countries. So all the countries came together, and the post-Washington consensus gave right for more sophisticated concept of the GVC, that is Global Value Chain. Now here in this particular slide, you can see the growth of the rise in the GVC, GCC, and GPN framework, wherein as per the need of terms and requirements of or the changing scenario of the world economy, you can see how the value or the composition of the global economic chain, global value chain, and global production network is been increasing day by day and the contribution in terms of the $1 billion of network that has been created at the certain point of duration. Furthermore, now the various stepping stones in the global value chain network, how it has been developed over a period of time. GCC, that is Global Commodity Chain, has been developed from the year 1990 to 2000 era. The Rockefeller Foundation of the Global Value Chain Initiative was been published from the era of 2000 to 2005. The Duke Center of Globalization from the Governance and Competitiveness era is again given by the Duke CGCC in the year 2005 to the present era, and adoption and elaboration by the International Organization of GVC approach to the development approach from the era of 2009 to 2016. So in this way, various contributors of, for example, the Duke Global Summit was the World Trade Organization, the OECD, the World Bank, Inter-American Development Bank, African Development Bank, Asian Development Bank, ILO, that is International Labour Organization, United Nations Corporation for Trade and Development, UNIDO, USAID, DFID, GIZ, and so on. Now the landmark publications, and this at this particular stage you can see, and now various clarifying concepts with respect to GVC. So what are the various concepts with respect to GVC, that is global value chain? The first concept is the origination of global supply chain, that is GSC. Now global supply chain specifically focuses on supply of goods and services from one location to another location or from one place to another place. So in this way, whenever you are manufacturing or producing a certain goods and services, you need to transport it, you need to send it from one location to another location, and accordingly for this particular concern we need a proper supply chain into existence. So for this concern, the logistics industry came into picture, and wherein the transportation focus was been given in order to reduce the time and in order to save the cost of the transportation. This particular consideration was given a certain perspective, wherein the trade facilitation was been consideration, wherein all the trade barriers that are into existence was seen that it can be reduced at a certain stage, and the trade can be conducted very effectively, and the supply of goods and services from one location to other location can be conducted in a very effective way. The global commodity chain specifically focuses on the industries and sectors as a certain perspective, wherein the producer, the buyer, the driver, the manufacturer, the retailer, the subcontractor, everyone was taken into consideration accordingly as per the commodity, as per the goods and services. The value chain was been decided and it was been designed. Now, next comes this specific era or the specific focus on the global value chain, that is of the era of 1990 to 2000 onwards, wherein the rise of the intermediate goods of the trade, that is with respect to the product of imports and export was into existence, and the every activity was being focused on creating, capturing, sustaining a development or providing a proper good example of all the products of this and the services with respect to the manufacturer, producer, wholesaler, dealer, supplier, and so on. Now, in today's era, that is 2008 to 2020 or 2030 onwards, we have the concept of regional value chain, wherein we are looking for the growing of importance in respect to the fragmentation of all the economic activity, wherein every country is dependent on each other, every activity is dependent on each other, and the production or the manufacturing and supply of goods and services, it has been conducted simultaneously in coordination with all the countries at the national level or at the international level. So in this way, there are different types of value chain that is into existence. Now, here what we see, the global value chain and the clusters. That is, now what is a cluster? Cluster is a certain combination or a cartel of different nations that they have come forward for the development of a particular country or nation as a whole. So the global value chain is considering all the world economy or all the global economy at a certain perspective, whereas the cluster is looking at a certain one specific perspective. For example, South America, North America, European Union, Asian continent, East Asian countries, African countries, Sahara countries, Sub-Sahara countries, and so on. So a cluster can also be a combination or how a cluster can come together and conduct the activities of global value chain. The global value chain analysis provides the concepts and accordance the rules, regulation, and guidelines for the industrial governance perspective, wherein you have to consider all the pastoral analysis that is with respect to the political, economic, social, technological, analytical, legal, and all the factors that are into existence. So in this way, we have to take at this particular situation about understanding of all the factors of production, all the market terms and conditions, all the market situations, and accordingly, the global value chain can be conducted very effectively and very fluently. So upgradation of technology, compatibility of all the factors of production, controlling of all the market forces is the main consideration of the global value chain that is into existence. Dimensions of the global value chain. Now, the various dimensions of global value chain are further classified on majorly on two characteristics or two perspectives. First thing, the global network, and second is the local network. So at this stage, we have to identify and we have to see that there are major two factors that we have to consider, the factors that are at the global level and the factors that are at the national level. So in this particular situation, the various factors are can be considered at the national level and the local level, and accordingly, the change in the factors, change in the situations can be seen at every point of time. Considering the factors at the global level, the factors are the value chain mapping, the geographic scope, the governance structure, that is the lead firm and the industry that are into existence are the major contributors. From the local level or the local perspective, we have to see with respect to the local institutional context, the industry stakeholders and the upgrading trajectories, that is the small scale industries or the participants of this particular network. So in this way, there are various dimensions of the global level and the national level. Now, furthermore, now let's look at the scenario of value chain mapping. So how do you map a value chain of a particular product? So in this way, what happen, you can see there is a certain value chain or a certain supply chain management that has been provided for you, wherein you have a certain input that is the raw material, wherein furthermore it has been processed, then a packaging and storage has been conducted, then the goods have been processed, and lastly, then the activity of distribution and marketing is been conducted. Now, the fruit and vegetable value chain, you can see at this particular stage, everything is being carried out at different countries or different level or different organizations. The first thing that is input and product or the packaging is been conducted at Jordan and Honduras. The packaging, again, the production, packaging and processing is conducted at Kenya and Morocco. And lastly, again, the compiled activity of production, packaging and processing and distribution is conducted at Chile. So in this way, various several countries can come together and they can contribute for the contribution of the development of global value chain network. So in this way, the countries can come together and create a better value chain network, and the goods and services can be supplied from one country to another country, and simultaneously the benefit for all the member countries can be given at the several stages. So the fruit industry at this particular stage, you can see and you can analyze accordingly about how the goods and services gets transferred from one place to another place. Same case, that is with respect to the production for export. The goods and services can be conducted very effectively and it can be transferred from one location to another location. And the transfer of goods and services, it is providing a proper value chain, proper network, wherein the coordination between all the member countries, all the nations who are associated with this particular stage can be seen. And accordingly, the goods and services have been provided to the customers who are at the distant place. That is, if a particular product is being processed at Norway, the same can be processed at Chile, same can be processed at Japan, and accordingly, the customers can be available in the Asian continent. And hence, in this way, the various skill sets can be applied, the various institutions' contribution can be taken, and hence the packaging, cold storage, and production activity can also be focused at the simultaneous level. The workforce development or the workforce deployment, you can see at this particular stage is all the employees or all the laborers or all the people of all the stages can be taken at this particular situation, wherein the top level management, middle level management, and the low level management, that is the white collar job and blue collar job, every time every people can be taken as a contributor, and all the participants can be a part of the global value chain network. With respect to the job profile and upgrading, the job profile for production and export, packaging and cold storage, processing, at every level it has been different. So right from farming, that is assessing of raw material, to the manufacturing of the processing of goods and services, to the finished product, everything is having a different job profile, and the skill set is also been different for different people. These are now the various concepts with respect to the offshore services of global value chain is ITO, BPO, and KPO. That is, ITO is information technology outsourcing, BPO stands for the business process outsourcing, and KPO is knowledge process outsourcing. So in this way, different contributors are there at this particular stage, and accordingly, the activity gets transformed from one location to another location. Now here, in this particular slide, you can see the offshore services global value chain, wherein the ITO, KPO, and BPO services can be identified, and what are the various roles and responsibilities at each and every individual level. At the ITO level, you can see the value added services, which ranges from low to high, are in terms of, for example, ITO specifically, that is information technology outsourcing, focuses on software, that is R&D, research and development, the IT consulting, the software services that are associated with ERP, application development, application integration, and the desktop management. With respect to the infrastructure focuses again on the application management, network management, and the infrastructure management. So in this way, the ITO services have been undertaken, and accordingly, the technological goods and services can be identified, and the goods and services can be transferred from one country to another country. With respect to the horizontal activities now of the KPO, that is knowledge process outsourcing, the activities that have been undertaken at this stage are the business consulting, the business analytics, and the market intelligence. And lastly, it also comprises a major perspective of legal services, wherein a major thrust has been given for legal services for the KPO perspective, wherein the contribution of all the different sectors, the different nations are into existence, and the activities have been conducted in an efficient way. Now, with respect to the BPO, that is business process outsourcing, the major characteristics of major activities have been designed in terms of ERM, HRM, and CRM, wherein ERM is for enterprise resource management, HRM, that is human resource management, and CRM for customer relationship management. The various components for ERM in terms of BPO are the contributors of finance and accounting, the procurement of logistics and supply chain management, and lastly, the content or the document management or the record maintenance. Now, with respect to the HRM, that is human resource management, it focuses on the concepts or the activities which focuses on training, talent management, payroll, and recruiting as a certain perspectives. So in this way, the HRM perspectives or the activities are also taken into consideration. Now, with respect to CRM, that is customer relationship management, it focuses on all the activities of marketing and selling, that is sales and marketing. And lastly, contact centers or the call centers, wherein the customer assist or customer support has been provided at every stage or at every point of time. So in this way, the activities of BPO as a centralized level in terms of ERM, HRM, and CRM has been undertaken. Now, with respect to the vertical activities are specifically focusing on the industry specific, which are either banking, financial industry, services industry, insurance industry, BFSI, and so on. It also have this various components or activities of manufacturing, telecommunication, energy, travel and transportation, health and pharma, retail, and other sectors also. So in this way, all the other services of offshore, whether it may be part of the global network or the local network, they are the contributors of the value chain as a certain perspectives. Now, in this particular slide, you can see how a particular location can be identified from a different perspectives of a value chain, whether it may be called as a mature location, emerging location, nascent location, no major activity, or demand for offshore services. So depending on the availability of factors of production, depending on the availability of resources, each and every activity is being undertaken, and accordingly, the activity can be identified. So you can see with respect to the green perspective, all the activities coming under the green perspective are of the mature location. The activities coming under the yellow perspective are of the emerging location. Activities of the red perspectives are under the nascent location, and so on. So in this way, India as our country falls under the location of mature location, wherein all types of activities, whether it may be a BPO, KPO, or ERM or CRM, all the activities are being conducted at the Indian location. Emerging location, wherein maximum thrust or the composition is given for the entry level businesses or the small scale industries with respect to China or Brazil or Chile or Mexico, wherein they have been focusing on all these small scale industries, and some parts of European Union, that is Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, and so on. Whereas the major countries or the major locations or the major continents for the nations focuses on the no major activity, wherein 0 to 5 centers are made available, and the global value chain network is very low at this particular stage. Now here in this particular slide, you can see the mapping of selected countries with respect to the offshore services, that how it has been undertaken. Now the example or comparative analysis of India, Czech Republic, Philippines, and Chile is given for you, wherein all the activities you can see are of different perspectives, of different origination. That is with respect to the IPO, BPO, CRM, KRM, and ERM with respect to the consideration, all the activities are of a different stage. India has a certain perspective. In the last slide, you can see it falls in the green category. So here, all the activities of either all the 4 factors have been considered, whereas the other country, that is Czech Republic, Chile, and Philippines, are focusing only either on 1 or 2 specific concerns. Now, the growth of India, Philippines, and Chile in comparative perspectives, here you can see in this particular slide. So an era, that is a duration from 1990 to 2010, that is further duration from early 2000 and mid to late 2000 is been provided at a certain comparative level. So at every stage within every country or a certain continent, you can see it is changing. And according to the core competency level, according to the factors of production, according to the availability of goods and services, production facility, and so on, the global value chain network, it has been identified, and accordingly, the offshore activities are being conducted. Now, let's look at the another perspective, that is the value chain governance. So what is the concept of value chain governance? Now we'll see the another concept in detail. So value chain governance is specifically focusing on the producer driven and buyer driven global commodity chain. So it is always focusing as a certain perspective wherein both the factors, that is the producer and the buyer, is been taken into consideration, and how this particular chain can be developed in an effective way. The goods and services that are made available can be provided at a very efficient state, which are both qualitative and quantitative, can be need and taken into consideration. So a producer is at a particular stage where you can see there is a certain consideration of either a domestic or a foreign subsidiary who are contributing together and manufacturing or producing the goods and services. Then we have the further intermediaries or the participants of the distribution chain. Either it may be manufacturer, wholesaler, dealer, retailer, supplier, stockist, brokist, and so on. So this comes under the concept of distributors. And lastly, we have the retailers and the customers. So in this way, the end user is available at this particular stage, and the commodity value chain is being provided at this certain position or a certain level. Now, the factories, the traders, overseas buyers, the branded, the US market, the Indian market, how each and every market has been connected with each other. This particular thing is been explained in this particular diagram, and we can understand and we can see that everything is interconnected with each other. And at this particular stage, there is a proper coordination of all the activities of the global value chain network. Now, here let's look at the certain perspectives of the global value chain lead firms and their supply chain. So which are the various leading firms in the concept of global value chain? The first name that comes is in terms of Walmart. So in terms of the retail perspective, that is giant retailers, we have Walmart as a certain perspective, wherein it is the largest retailer in the world, which directs the biggest supply chain network in the country or in the nations. It is having more than 60 or the greater than 60,000 suppliers which provide worldwide, and over 80% are the Chinese product which have been available of Walmart. So Walmart is a particular concern which is the major contributor in terms of retail industry, and accordingly the contributor for the global value chain network. In terms of branding, Nike, the largest sportswear company in the world, and does not own any factory. So they are not having any factory of their own, but each and every activity, each and every product of Nike is conducted with the help of global value chain. They have their different products located at different location, and accordingly the activity has been undertaken. The manufacturing is undertaken, the distribution, the supply chain is undertaken, and lastly the retailers are also undertaken by the Nike and in terms of value chain network. More than 1 million workers in the supply chain, but just 38,000 direct employees in US. So Nike being a US company, only 38,000 employees are there as a certain perspective, which are in US perspective, but more than 1 lakh million people are spread across the globe, and accordingly they are conducting or processing the activities of Nike on a larger scale. Another third perspective in terms of technology or the cell phone industry is with respect to the example of Apple. Apple, the top smartphone company in the world, designs and markets its products, but not own a single factory. So they are not having any factory of their own, and accordingly, what happened? The production or activity has been undertaken by the respective company at a larger level. So in this way, what happened? The company is undertaking all the business activities, and accordingly, the global value chain of Nike is into existence. Foxconn, the largest electronic supplier. So this is the particular largest electronic supplier of this particular company, and accordingly, it supplies the various goods and services for that particular company. And Apple controls all the manufacturing, processing, and distribution networks across the globe. The 5 GVC governance types. So these are the various governance types that are into existence of the global value chain, wherein you can see there are different participants or different components at the global level and at the national level. For the major contributors or the types of the governance are the market, the modular, the relational, the captive, and the hierarchy model. So at every position, at every level, the hierarchy keeps on changing, and accordingly, the degree of implicit coordination or the power asymmetry keeps on changing from the materials to the end user. So how a particular material gets converted to a finished product is been explained in this particular slide or the particular graph. The determinants of the global value chain governance. So in this way, you can see the various determinants with respect to the markets, the modular, the relational, the captive, and hierarchy model. And at every stage, with respect to their high and low frequency, the degree of explicit factors keeps on changing. So the governance of the global value chain is being given at this particular stage, and with the change in the factors, with the change in the credibility, with the change in the transactions, with the change in the supply chain or the supply base curve, all the activities keeps on changing accordingly. Now, with respect to the dynamics in the global value chain governance, you can see the governance type, whether it may be a market, modular, relational, captive, or hierarchy, it always keeps on changing, and accordingly, there is a high and low relationship between the governance of value chain that is into existence. Here, this particular diagram or the graph specifically focuses on the UK, that is United Kingdom African fresh vegetable fruit value chain. So how a vegetable value chain has been associated and governed or controlled between the UK and fresh or the Africa. So a proper value chain with respect to the dotted line, which is specifically a markets, a straight line, which is for captive, a single dot, so multiple dotted line with a modular, or the dark line with a hierarchy, and a dotted dark line with relational model. So in this way, different models of hierarchy and relational model has been provided for you, and how the global value chain has been conducted at the international level is been explained in this diagram. The three modular, that is the relational governance structure, the modular governance structure, and the market governance structure has been explained, wherein the major focus is either it is the hierarchical or the captive governance structure and the multiple governance structure. So in this way, whether it may be a BPO, KPO, or KRM, CRM, ERM, any type of activity that has been consideration or taken into consideration, the offshore or the global value chain is quite of a feasible nature. And accordingly, we have now let's look at the certain perspective about understanding of upgrading the value chain. So the various strategies for upgrading the value chain network are with respect to the product upgrading, process upgrading, functional upgrading, and chain upgrading. So we have to continuously keep on upgrading our products, and we have to see that the proper sophisticated and qualitative product is provided to the customers, and there is proper coordination between all the manufacturing activities. Whatever the goods and services have been demanded by the customers, you need to provide them, and accordingly, the qualitative product is needed to be supplied to the customer. Process upgradation. In order to provide a proper qualitative product to the customers, we always have to develop our processes that we are developing or that we are accepting. That is, at several point of time, if the technology is changing, we have to adopt the new technology, and accordingly, with the help of adoption of new technology, the production or the manufacturing activity must be quite sophisticated, and it will be must quite qualitative. In order to create a mass production activity wherein large number of goods and services can be produced simultaneously, we have to see that the process that we are manufacturing, the goods that we are manufacturing are properly processed, are properly associated, and the goods and services are also being manufactured in an effective way. With respect to the functional upgrading, in terms of the functional upgrading, we have to see that all the activities of a particular department are properly coordinated, they are properly governed, and accordingly, all the component that is which is relational to either the marketing, finance, operations, HR, IT, IB, whatever may be the department association, whatever may be the association with respect to the top level management, middle level management, or this low level management, everything is needed to be taken into consideration at a proper level, and contribution must be given to all the people at the larger scale. Lastly, the next perspective is the chain perspective. So the chain perspective that is there at this particular situation is, for example, with respect to the contributors of the global value chain network. Now, the contributors of the global value chain network are with respect to the manufacturer, producer, wholesaler, dealer, supplier, and so on. So all the contributors of this particular situation are at this particular stage. We need to see that, and accordingly, all the contributors should be at a certain feasible position. So in this situation, we have to identify that all the contributors are of the value chain network are properly upgraded, and we are providing a proper contribution at all the levels, at the global level and at the national or international level also. Next perspective, the functional upgrading as a certain perspective. Now, what is the concept of the functional upgrading? Let's look at this particular situation. So, the functional upgrading specifically focuses on the United States and the various regions of United States with respect to the apparel and commodity chain market. So, here in this particular slide, you can see how the particular countries have started to upgrade themselves, and accordingly, the strategies have been changed with respect to the functional perspective. Functional perspective, that is the various sectors that are into existence of either the manufacturing, production, supply, distribution chain, and so on. And accordingly, the functional assembly with respect to 1993, 1996, and 2011 has been changed at a several point of time. So in this way, the global valuation of the local cluster network is also which are quite changing. And accordingly, as on details, today's scenario is from the 2000 or the 2010 onwards, we can see everything component has been taken into consideration. Accordingly, the global value chain has been developed at a very higher rate or an effective way. Now, where are the high value activities in GVC? So what are the various high value activities in GVC? The developed countries and the developing countries. So with respect to the developed countries, the major focus is on the R&D and the major on the post sales and the retail services of a particular country or a particular nation. So in this way, we have to identify and we have to see that about what type of goods and services are needed to be undertaken, what type of goods are needed to be manufactured, and accordingly, the goods and services should be provided to the different customers or the suppliers. Furthermore, now with respect to the developing countries, we have the design as a certain perspective, logistics purchases, the production, and the logistic distribution. So every component, every participant is at this particular stage available, and all the factors or all the components are taken into consideration, and accordingly, we can identify and see that either in terms of the pre-production, the tangible activity, and the post-production stage, every contributor is made available, and accordingly, the global value chain activity is being controlled, governed, or regulated. So here, with respect to the company's perspective, also you can see the example of Apple US. That is how a particular strategy has been developed, how R&D has been applied, and accordingly, the marketing knowledge has been increased day by day. So Apple's smiling curve and the GVC for iPhone is been explained in this particular chapter or in this particular slide, wherein you can see how it has been developed or created at a certain phase, and the smile curve has been increased or provided a benefit at all the level. So in this way, every country is getting benefited at this particular stage, and at another level, the countries are also getting benefited, and the company as a whole is also getting benefit out of it. The smiley curve in a GVC variations. So how, if there is certain variations in the international market or the global market, how the particular variations can be found out in this particular smiley curve. So the value added or profitability, that is in terms of ICT, that is a pre-era of 2000 and post-era of 2000. You can see at this particular stage that the smiley curve keeps on changing, and accordingly you can find and see that either it is an upward sloping curve or it is an downward sloping curve. So with respect to the various factors, that is the production process of R&D, design, branding, manufacturing, logistics, marketing, and after sales, the smiley curve keeps on either moving upwards or either it moves downwards. Now, the concept of triple bottom line approach. So the triple bottom line approach specifically focuses on diversification, inclusive, and green growth. So the various major focuses on triple bottom line approach are the concept of economic upgrading, environmental upgradation, and social upgrading. So with respect to the consideration of all the factors, we have to see that there is a proper sustainable growth that has been provided, and accordingly, all the factors of production are in a quite controlled stage. So if you want to provide a certain feasible environment or stable environment to the international level, to the global value chain network, then all the factors are needed to be controlled in an effective way, and all the factors that is related either to the environment, either to the economic consideration or the social obligation, everything is to be made in a controlled way, and the global value chain all these situations that are into existence, and we need to see that how a particular consideration can be made wherein everyone is getting benefited, every activity is being supported, and the global value chain at the national level and at the international level, it has been controlled at all the factors of production. So we have to see, we have to understand that how all the activities have been coordinated in an effective way, and hello, and how they are being controlled and regulated in the international market. Now, the empirical indicators. Now, what are the various indicators with respect to the global value chain? The various indicators are the product upgrading, the process upgrading, the functional upgrading, the chain upgrading, the social upgrading, and the environment upgrading. So, with respect to the product upgrading, you have to keep a control, you have to keep a watch on the price of the goods and services. So, proper control on the price of the goods and services also needed to be maintained so that it is applicable, it is affordable to all the customers or the vendors or the purchasers at the global level or at the international level. So at this stage, we have to identify, we have to see that if the product is affordable, if the price is set in an effective way, then only the customer will purchase your goods and services, and it is acceptable to all the countries or all the customers across the globe. Process upgrading, that is with respect to the productivity measures and the use of technology. So proper use and a proper composition of technology so it's needed to be made so that qualitative and best of quality of product is provided to the customers who are using the product. The functional upgrading, that is with respect to the forward linkages and backward linkages, is always needed to be taken into consideration, and accordingly whether the production or the manufacturing activity is needed to be supported by the forward or the backward linkage is always needed to be looked at by the companies. Economic diversification into new or related industries, that is how your industry is changing, how the market is changing, what are the various new trends in the environment. Accordingly, everything is needed to be identified, and the diversification in your economic perspective with respect to the monetary policy, fiscal policy, demand and supply factors, import and export factors, everything is needed to be considered, and accordingly the chain is needed to be upgraded. Social upgradation, that is with respect to the societal perspectives of either the wage rate, the working conditions, the labor policies, the environmental policy, the government policies, everything has needed to be taken into consideration. Accordingly, the society or the social footprint or the social causes are needed to be considered at this particular point of time. And lastly, the environmental upgradation, that is with respect to the protection of environment at the larger scale, that is with respect to the afforestation, deforestation, protection of the ozone layer, controlling of the carbon footprint, prevention of our natural resources, natural environment, various resources of the global level, the natural resources, all these factors are needed to be considered, and accordingly, the empirical indicators are there into existence. Now, the examples or the consideration of the cases of Costa Rica medical devices. So, here with this case or this situation, we can see the Costa Rica is a particular consideration of a certain case wherein the medical devices of the global value chain have been manufactured at this particular stage, and how contributors of the different global value chain network is into existence. So, with respect to the R&D, component manufacturing, assembly manufacturing, marketing, distribution, post-sale service, you can see at every stage the different activities have been undertaken, and accordingly the activity has been coordinated between the member countries or the member nations accordingly simultaneously. So the Costa Rica is a particular example wherein how the activities have been controlled, regulated, and governed, and it has been benefited for all the products that have been manufactured by a company. Further, this next slide. Now, in this particular slide, you can see about how the particular product of goods and services, that is with respect to the different types of commodities of either disposables, therapeutic instruments and capital equipments of Costa Rica have been manufactured and it has been processed, and what are the various exports of the product categories. So from the year of 1996 or 1998 to 2011 era, you can see the continuous increase or growth in the medical exports by this particular company and how it has been developed or grown at a very larger scale. So in this way, it has been expected that after 2010 2015 era, the continuous production or maximum manufacturing will increase, and in this way, the production of services activities will start increasing day by day. Now, here in this particular slide, you can see about the various firms in the Costa Rica, that is the medical devices sector, that are what are the various firms that have been available or that are into existence. So US firm, European firms, Colombian firms, German firms, CSR, Russian firms you can see at this stage, and what are the various components that they are contributing for. So in terms of the 2009 to 2012 era, the product that have been examples of which of the major manufacturing production activity are the heart wall, dialysis catheters, guide wires, and compression socks. So various products that have been required at this particular stage have been manufactured and produced at this particular stage, and the company is contributing for the manufacturing and the goods and services at the larger scale. Upgrading of success now with respect to the leading medical devices, you can see a scenario of 2005 to 2011. So from just to the 18 million US dollar to company in the 2005, how it has been grown or how it has been developed to $120 million company in the year 2011. So within a very short span of duration of either 6 years, how the increase in the development of manufacturing activity, processing activity, or global value chain activity has been undertaken or conducted by Costa Rica as a certain company is explained in this particular slide. Now here, the medical device export. So what are the various devices that have been exported by this particular company? You can see in this particular slide, and how a particular disposable size, the largest product category growing of the Brazilian economy, various forces of the stabilization and the growth rate has been identified. And you can see with respect to the comparison of either the Brazil and Mexico, how the goods and services of the medical devices are being exported by the different countries or by the different nations. So in this way, we have seen with today about the global value chain network, about what is the composition, what is the contraction of the global value chain, how the global value chain network is developing day by day, and accordingly, what is the importance at this particular stage. So with this particular concern, we come with the end of today's lecture. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. If you have any questions at this stage, you can please unmute yourself and ask me the questions, or you can please drop your questions in the chat box. I'll mark your or I'll answer your questions accordingly. The discussion or the forum is open for the question and answers. Okay. Furthermore, no doubts or difficulties. So another request for you, the various different other lectures of the international business environment are also been uploaded on the YouTube. You are please requested to watch all those videos and please subscribe my channel. Thank you so much for your patience listening. Thank you.